Okay, Sashi's recording. Okay.
Seven.
Good evening. Are we ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. So once again, a very good evening to fellow Rotarians and Rotaractors that are joining us this evening in 1% Better every day. 1% Better every day. So it will be a professional development sharing session. And first and foremost, I would like to introduce our district trainer that is in charge for this session, right? Which is our brother Sashi here. So personally, I've known him for quite some time, PP Sashi. We have worked on everything from Dansala project to Bulletproof. So great leader, very focused on professional development. And with this, I will hand the floor to you, Sashi.
All right. Thank you, Terence. Okay, is everybody doing good? All right. So this session is called 1% Better Every Day. Right? So the idea of being 1% better every day. How many of you all here are good with maths? Who in y'all can tell me that if you are 1% better every day for the next 365 days, how good will you be in a year? Or how many times better you will be in a year? Any guesses? Times 365, 365%. 1%. Nice answer, Rakesh. You seem to have compiled 365 days into one day. Okay, the answer would be 37 times better. How 37 times better is? Do you want me to explain the math? It's pretty simple. It would be 1.01 to the power of 365, right? Being 1% better every day doesn't mean you become added up 365%. No, you slowly, bit by bit, become better at what you do. So how do we do that? I'm going to begin by a very important thing, which is goals. All right. So when we talk about goals, how many of you set goals? Can I know? If you guys can feel free to unmute and just say yes or no.
Yes.
So what
Yes.
kinds of goals do you set? Do you set financial goals, education goals, or body physical goals? What kind of goals? Is it long-term or short-term?
Relationship goals.
Relationship goals. Good, we will get to that. Long-term goals. Okay. When we speak about goals, parental goals. Okay. When we speak about goals, we are talking about putting in a lot of effort into attaining something that you are currently dreaming of. Is that right? Yes, it is. Example, I'll give you a simple example of a goal. You want a sick ass body, right? You want to work out, you want to get the best body, you want to be in the best shape that you can ever be. But how do you do that? Do you just take a trip to the gym? Is that it? Or do you just only work out? It involves a lot of efforts and a lot of variables that contribute to you getting a good body. So let's say you achieve a goal. What then? You got the best body. What then? You know what's the hardest part about getting a good body? It's maintaining it. You have a goal. You have achieved the goal, but how do you maintain that goal? So consistency, perseverance. Yes, correct, guys. But as much as you focus on the goals, I would like you to look at another part, all right? Which is to focus on the habits that lead you towards those goals, all right? Simple example. If you wish to clean your room, you want to clean your room is dirty, you want to clean the room. So you set up a date and you clean your room. But your room ends up getting dirty in a matter of a week or two. You have reached your goal, but your goal just disappeared in a matter of weeks, right? So what you should be focusing on is your habit. You should maintain good cleaning habits, right? In that way, cleaning your room is no longer a goal. You don't even clean yourself, huh, Melissa? You must be sitting in front of the computer all day and rotting, right? Netflix and chill. I don't care if I get a kill. All right. So maintaining these habits, developing habits. Let me give you another simple example. Money, finance. Your goal is to not be broke. What do you do? Anybody from the floor, can you tell me what do you do to not be broke?
Invest.
You invest to not be broke. Dude, you need to
Don't
have
spend.
invest.
Don't spend.
Don't spend.
Splurge.
Savings, budget planning, earn. Earning power, spend on necessary items. Yes, thank you. Allocating your finances. Right. Being broke, is it a goal? Yes, it could be. But you should be more concerned about the habits involving your goals. Right? It's not so much as having a good life or having a good body or having a lot of money. When you post stuff on social media and you see someone posting stuff of their achievements, all you see is the end result. You never see the hard work behind it, right? So the hard work behind it may be for months, for years, right? And to get to that point, they have developed a certain habit. Let's say you're good at taking Instagram photos. You're good at creating a very nice Instagram wall. Were you always that good? Or did it take you time? Did you learn how to take photos? Did you learn how to put it all together? So coming back to the question of being broke and spending money, yes, not so much as focus on being broke, but create the habit of good and very good spending habits, right? Like somebody told me, yes, Yovanesh mentioned that you should spend on necessary items. I'm pretty sure we all kind of have a lot of unnecessary spending. I'm just throwing it out there, but it may not be necessary, but you know your necessities, right? Your necessities are food, drinks, and everything that you need to run a daily life. So, Jasmine, what's a baobei?
That was for Melissa. Never mind.
Ah, all right. So, continuing, you find a way to get more money from what you currently have. Okay, I'm going to get to that. Crystal Lim, okay, you made a statement of saying that if you don't want to be broke, you find a way to get more money from what you currently have. I'm going to twist it around for you. And I'm going to go ahead with the next part, which is, yeah, improvement by subtraction. Does anybody have an idea of what improvement by subtraction means? No? All right. Improvement by subtraction. I am lagging. Guys, can you see me? Is it all clear?
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine, okay. Getting rid of bad habits, eliminate unnecessary stuff that you need. Good fruits come from good roots. Start by having good habits and watch its effect compounds over time. Thank you, Terence, for a good quote. Okay, improving by subtraction, right, means exactly what mentioned by Derek Diong and Rakesh Sharma. Eliminate unnecessary stuff that you don't need, Rakesh, not eliminate unnecessary stuff that you need. Then you just die, dude. All right. So eliminating stuff that you don't need. Now, you want money, right? Does that mean you got to work a lot harder or you reduce your spending habits? Which one? You see, it's always a yin and yang when it comes to habits, right? There will be both sides to a habit. You are definitely going to balance it out. So if you have more wants and needs, you would have to work a lot harder. But if you look closely and think about what you actually want and what you actually need, you're going to save a lot more time not working and spending time with the ones you love. There are massive repercussions because of your habits, and you should really think about it. And improvement by subtraction. Another example would be working out. I'm going to tell you an experience of mine. A few years ago, I started going to the gym, right? So when I started going to the gym, I was all pumped up, right? Because that was the first time my mom let me go to the gym and actually build my body. So I was all in there going, just racking up weights, lifting as much as I can. And every time, every week I go, I try to lift heavier and heavier and heavier. Right. But that made me waste about 3 months of gym money, 3 months of time, and 3 months of actually working out. Because the most important thing about me working out that I missed out was proper habits. Instead of improving by subtraction, meaning reducing the food, the bad food that I ate, I just kept on piling on my exercises to compensate, but that's not enough. So I added more to compensate for something much less. So if I thought of reducing my food intake or my calorie intake, I would have not wasted those 3 months in the gym, and also realized that it's not only about working out. It's also about the food that you put in your body. So those sort of habits really affect the amount of time you take to do something, and it eliminates temporary and unnecessary goals. Any questions so far, guys? That's not mine, by the way. I like rice, go gym just to burn the carbs I eat. Yes, Joshua. But you're just maintaining a balance, right? You're not improving the state of your body because you're just creating a balance. Check this, Joshua. Do you even go to the gym? Do you even lift, bro?
I'm offended. Jagdish, you better switch on your camera right now.
Sorry, bro. So I won't tell anyone you lift 100 kg. No, it's secret.
Okay.
No one else knows.
Yeah.
I finally managed to build my body. Yes, I did, but I were to be honest, it's a very difficult task to maintain it. So that was a few years ago, and this MCO has just made me put on 10 kilos, if you could actually imagine. So I'm actually on a home workout just to lose all the fat, which is a lot. 10 kg of happiness, 10 kg of biryani. Yes. So 10 kg only, yes, only 10 kg. So let me move on. So compensating and compromise is something you need to achieve your goals. And let me also tell you about goals. Don't overset goals. Always set logical goals. Yes, it's good to dream, but it's also good to not let your future self be disappointed. Okay? And I would like to go to the next part of my session. Look to the past. And what do I mean by look to the past is to measure your improvements. There are many methods of measuring your improvements. One of it being looking to the past. I know how people always say, yeah, you look to the future, always think about the future, but I'm telling you to think about your past, right? In the past is when you know you made a mistake. Yes, Rakesh. Amazing. What you are today is what you did yesterday. Thank you. Amazing quote. So you can only improve if you know your mistakes, and your mistakes are never in the future. They are always in the past. So if you think you want to improve, let it be in a relationship, let it be in your work life, let it be in your education. Look back at your past results, your past habits, and evaluate them. Evaluating what you have done is going to make you what you are to be. Those who resist what was won't accept what can be. If you guys notice that line, that's from Avengers Endgame. So what you are today is what you did yesterday. So looking at it closely, please think about how you can improve yourself by evaluating your past. Let's say you fought with your partner yesterday, you fought with your girlfriend yesterday about something. Let's say you forgot to call her at night, or you forgot to call him at night. That is a mistake you won't think of repeating, because sometimes arguments can be held. So what do you think? Are you going to repeat the same mistake, or are you going to try to not make the same mistake? Oh, that's Terence going on sharing the tips. It's not just about what you add to your routines, it's also about what you cut off. Very nice. So if you made a mistake, nobody is stupid for making a mistake. You're only stupid if you repeat the same mistake, right? You have to learn from your mistakes. Mistakes are the stepping stones, right? Amen. Mistakes are done to be not repeated. Yes. But let's just face it. We all make mistakes, and we definitely have repeated them, consciously or unconsciously. So let us go thinking that, yes, we make mistakes. We are all human, right? We are going to make mistakes, and we are going to learn from them. But that is the crucial part, learning from them. That is how you become 1% better every day. Every day you make a mistake, every day you should learn from it. Okay? And that is only going to happen if you look at the past, right? Your past predicts and determines your future, right? Let us go to the next point. Impressing people and self-confidence. Okay, there's two ways to look about it. When you are self-confident, you can impress people, or you can impress people by lying, and then you become self-confident, right? So 1 minute. All right. Correct. So being self-confident is not about impressing people. Being good at what you do is not about impressing people, right? Don't go out showing off your talent in the aim of impressing people. You being self-confident is a trait that you trained yourself to get. So when you look at yourself in the mirror every day, what do you think? Are you shy to go and talk in front of a crowd? Are you shy to look at a girl and speak to her? Or are you shy to look at a guy and speak to the person? Or are you even afraid to just start a conversation with anyone? This is a very common thing, let me tell you. Not anyone can just go up to a person and start a conversation. That is simply because you are not self-confident. Okay, there is a question from Jagdish. What if you think you are being self-confident, but some people might derive you as being too strong? Like in a way, you're coming off as over self-confident. Okay, you think you're self-confident, but people might derive you to being too strong. Okay, that means the people can't take your confidence, bro. You're that confident. There is no reason for you to let down your confidence. So you being over self-confident, I wouldn't call it over self-confident. You're just an expressive person. I wouldn't say you're over self-confident. If people can't take it, I'm pretty sure that's one or two people who are just jealous of your confidence and they don't have the guts to do what you do. Another question from Melissa. I cannot talk to people easily. How can I overcome it? Right. This is a self-confidence issue of you not being happy with the way you speak, probably. You have the common conception of people judging you, and that's not something you want. You don't like people judging you, but at the same time, you should not be judging people as well. So how do you overcome that? Simple. I feel that you lead your own life, right? And people lead their own life. You don't know what they go through. They don't know what you go through. So when you attempt to go and speak to someone, you don't think about what they might think about you. I feel the biggest problem that our human minds have is that we always worry about what other people would think about us. You should start thinking about what do you think about yourself, right? Don't care. You really should not really care about what a lot of people think about you unless that person means something to you. Personally, that you have engaged with, then their opinions matter. But then if you really want to know, your opinion comes first for you. You should think about yourself and not worry about what other people think about you. That's how you initiate the first step, and that's how you overcome, and that's how you can talk to people easily, as you do not expect them to judge you, and you don't care if they judge you because you are you and you should happy to be you. Rutrish, I will answer your question at the end. Okay, let me just move on with my session. I will get to it once I'm done. So, always remember your self-confidence is up to you, and do not just do it to impress people. Do not lie to impress people and then be self-confident, because you're just building your confidence on a house of matchsticks. It's going to fall. You're going to build it in concrete, which is by yourself. You don't go out to impress anyone. You go and you become better, and you create your own self-confidence, not based on what other people think, but based on what you think. Okay, the next thing I would like to talk about was success versus failure. I think it's a very common thing. The greatest success will never teach a better lesson than the worst failure, right? A lot of us think that we are failures, right? That the moment we make a mistake, the moment we can't take a relationship, or the moment we can't continue a relationship, the moment you break up, the moment you make a mistake, the moment you fail an exam, the moment you don't get a job after you attended an interview, the moment you get fired, you think you're a failure. Let me tell you, failure is a teacher, right? You're not going to be better just by winning all the time. Yes, you will be happy, but you will also get a head, a heavy head of thinking that you're good at everything you do, you will always win. Failure teaches you humility, right? Failure teaches you how to be humble, right? You win some, you lose some. If you guys heard of the Chinese theory called yin and yang, how many of you guys really know what it actually means and what that symbol actually means? Anyone? You guys can feel free to unmute, by the way. Balance in life. Yep, that's the general idea. But why is the logo such? Why is there a black, white? Why is there a black in white? And why is there a white in black? There is a good and bad. Yes. There is the good in bad and the bad in good. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Perfect. Right? Awesome. Positives and negatives complement each other. In the good, there will be bad, and in the bad, there is also good. Yes, that's exactly the balance in life. And these were told by very, very wise people. Yin and yang is a balance, right? There is good, there is bad, there is the good in the bad, and there is the bad in the good. So if you look at it carefully, that is your life, right? You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, you're going to get everything together at the end, and hopefully you lead a good life. Thanos approves. Yes, he does. So yin and yang is a perfect example of success and failure, good and bad. But which is good, which is bad? Neither. There's a good thing in failure and there's bad in success, right? So success and failure is not something you should be worrying about, right? You aim for a success, yes, but Thomas Alva Edison only got the light bulb working after 1,000 failures. A failure did not stop him, and it shouldn't stop you, right? And if you break up in a relationship, it simply means that you are just not suitable. It's not that you are a failure or your partner was a failure. No, it just shows incompatibility, right? Make sure you know what you want. And it's not wrong to date, guys. That's why the word dating is there. You need to date. You date to find out your compatible partner. You don't date to marry. I mean, that's the goal, right? But if the person is not suitable, it doesn't work, right? And you should not take that as a failure. What if you don't see anything good in your failures? That just kind of means that you are thinking with a negative mind. All right. So if you don't see anything good in a failure, Jack Ng, can you give me an example of a failure that you don't see anything good in? And have you experienced that? You can feel free to unmute, by the way, and speak to me. Jack? It's okay. Let me just give an example. What if you don't see anything good in your failures? Submitting an assignment late. So where was the failure? Was your failure submitting an assignment late, or was your failure procrastination? So your failure wasn't you submitting your assignment late, but your failure was you not doing it when you're supposed to, right? And this is what we're going to come back to, habits. Your goal was to submit an assignment on time, but you don't have the habit of doing stuff early, right? And that is your failure, my friend, not you submitting your assignment late. So once you look at the bigger picture, you're going to really find out what are the problems, and that's where you fix them, right? So success and failure go hand in hand. There is no failure without success, and there is no success without failure, right? And I will go to my last and one very important statement. Happiness. So, how many of y'all can actually say that you're truly happy doing what you do? Like, I'm happy with myself, I'm happy with my life, I'm happy with my education. Vaikun, you're happy. 2 participants raised their hands. Nicholas Chan is happy. Awesome. Not yet, but on the way. Yes, I'm happy with what I do now. Good, guys. For those of you who can't achieve your happiness, okay, I want to hear from Eric from Ames University. You said you are happy, and why? What is the reason for your happiness, Eric? Eric? All right, it's okay. Let me just move forward. Happiness doesn't just come from achieving your goals, guys. Happiness comes from self-acceptance. Happiness comes from accepting who you are and what you have and being grateful, right? You will not just be happy if you get a big car, a big house, a lot of money, a hot girlfriend, right? Those are not the reasons for you to be happy. Your happiness is going to depend on whether you accept yourself or not. And let me tell you one crucial thing, and I've seen this going around a lot. Don't put your happiness on someone else's shoulder. Your happiness is never another person's responsibility. Your happiness is your responsibility. All right? So, I hope you guys have got something from what I have been telling you for the past 30 to 40 minutes. All right? Now, I am going to introduce to you someone who is so good. Let me introduce you to him and you will know how good he is. All right. So I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Rotarian Nicholas Chan, who is a member of the Rotary Club of Petaling Jaya. He is the current Youth Service Director and the District Interact Chair for the coming Rotary term 2020-2021. He was a former interactor in Catholic High School PJ and joined the same club that sponsors his Interact Club. What a legacy he's leading. Okay, let's go on. He is a software engineer and a management psychologist by education. In his day job, he's a corporate trainer and management behaviorist with a firm he founded called Yellow Shorts Consulting. He has consulted and trained many companies such as BNP Paribas, Alliance, Bangkok Bank, HSBC, and many others. Fun fact for this man, he was a former athlete who represented Malaysia to the SEA Games in 1995 for water polo and has finished the Ironman Challenge twice. What an all-rounder, right? So, he consults for many youth organizations such as the National Olympic Academy, and he has designed employability programs for tailors. Rotarian Nicholas is also an academic. He is currently a visiting professor with Beijing Jiao Tong University in China, where he is teaching master's students. Okay, let's give him a round of applause. So Rotarian Nicholas.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Okay, I will be asking Rotarian Nicholas a few questions that I have prepared, all right? And this is a Q&A session for all of us, but I'm gonna kickstart it with 5 questions. So here it goes. Question 1, sir, what made you become a trainer and a speaker?
Okay, that's an interesting loaded question there altogether. How I started out as a trainer and speaker, to be honest, I would like to go back in time if there was a time machine to bring you all there. And it is a very interesting junction in time that I think all of you go through sometimes. Anyone out there, let me give you this scenario right now and ask you all to imagine. Anyone here right now who feel that they are in a course or in a junction in their life that they feel they don't belong? You're there because your parents told you it was the right course of action, or you follow peer pressure, or you just follow, hey, look, my friend's signing up for the course, so I'll just sign up for it anyway, right? So, so it was the same case for me. I started out first as a software engineer. And in fact, I know that a lot of you here are from the Rotaract Club at APU. I'm actually your alumni. I joined APU when it was still called APIT, right? In 1997, I was actually the second year batch of students there when it's only one floor in Wisma Semantan in Damansara Heights on the 15th floor. And I joined as the IT program, right? And I did that because back then it was in 1997, the Asian economic financial crisis, the really major first big one hit. And one of the things that was actually happening right then during that time was concurrently was Cyberjaya was coming out, the IT industry was picking up. So I like computers, but I didn't like it that much. So my dad said that, hey, look, programming and then it's computers going to be the way to go. Why don't you go sign up? So I did sign up. So I finished 3 years. I graduated with a paper in a Bachelor of Science in Software Engineering, specializing in artificial intelligence. I went into IT. I joined a firm. I did many things. And I found out that that wasn't really something that I really enjoyed. Relating about to Sashi just now, are you happy in what you're doing? I wasn't happy. I was fulfilled. The money was good, but it wasn't something that I enjoyed doing. Then came the chance that I was actually seconded to Singapore, right? And being, because we were bought over by a Singaporean company. So I was actually seconded down there to be the director of IT for the Singapore office. And it was very stressful. And especially so if a lot of you here who have never worked in Singapore before, it's quite stressful, especially if you're Malaysian and you are a Malaysian who was hired to replace a Singaporean. And to some degree, I have to admit also, I mean, if any Singaporeans out there, I think you know sometimes these things happen also. Singaporeans do look down on us Malaysians. And it was a constant pressure a lot to actually work in that environment. It sort of increased my temper. I wasn't very good psychologically, mentally and everything. So after a few years, I came back. Then I decided to take a break. So I went and studied my master's, right? And then one of the lecturers there told me, I don't know whether anyone here from HELP is Baldev still there or not, Dr. Baldev, Professor Baldev Sidhu is still there or not. I went and studied my MBA over in HELP. And he told me, hey, you seem pretty okay with academics and everything. So why don't you try out being a lecturer? So I did. I signed up to be a part-time lecturer and it turned out quite well. Then I later went back to APU or APIT to be a lecturer myself. So I went one full circle. I started as a student at APIT, then I became a lecturer in APIT. And it turns out that I actually did lecturing quite well. I got good grades, I got good reviews from my students. I enjoyed doing it a lot. Then as I started exploring a bit more, it turned out that I also have a knack for corporate training, training people. And I used to incorporate a lot of training into my lessons with my students. So like, for example, I teach business operations. So in order for me to teach my students about business operations, what I used to do was I bring them to McDonald's to see what the assembly line was all about. So I managed to arrange for my students to be able to go to McDonald's to see what is it all about. So I always believe in always making things interesting for my students. So I realized that these are also things that I can apply as a trainer. So eventually I came out, I became a trainer. It turns out that my salary I earned per day was actually more than per month in terms of it when I became a trainer. So eventually, how did I become it? You would say it's if you want to say if you are religious, I should say God got me there, whatever. But I would say that it was a marriage of circumstances. But I think if I were to refine, if I were to go back in time and if I were to come back to where I am right now, I would have done a bit more research, acted less on impulse, maybe grew a bit more balls to tell my dad that I didn't want to be an IT guy and everything. So I'm 42 this year, and hindsight is always 20/20. So I think that's very important for us to remember. So what made you become? Because I get to meet people every day. One of the most wonderful thing about, and since you're on professional development, being a trainer is one of the most ultimate way for you to become to develop yourself professionally. You are constantly meeting different types of people from all levels. You meet executive level, you meet supervisory level, you go up to C level, which is the chief executive officer. You even train executive directors and everything. And not only that, you also work with many industries. I work in almost every industry you can name off right now: tobacco, alcohol, manufacturing, power generation, petrochemical, women's lingerie. I've ever done that. I did for Sorella before. I even did for all women's company before called Slimming Sanctuary. I've done for health. I've done for all women's gym called Curves. I worked for car companies before, Honda. I've done for banks, CIMB, Bangkok Bank, international banks like BNP Paribas, which is a French bank, Sumitomo Mitsui Bank. So it allowed me to really explore a lot about everything that I could. And if I were to add an advice behind every question that Sashi is going to be asking me, I would say that if you were to pick up any lessons from my personal experience and don't pick up from my mistakes that I've made, is that don't stay still where you are. In professional development, you have to go out and explore. Go out there and do as much as possible. I think some of you have attended I did a personality, Chester actually organized a personality talk I think a month back or something like that, a few weeks ago. And I spoke about the onion model, right? Your life experiences is based on the many things that you go through. And the more you go through the mistakes that you make, I noticed some people talking about mistakes, right? Mistakes are all parts of experiences. I don't subscribe to the fact there's anything such thing as a bad or good mistake. I look at it as an outcome. Either the outcome was good or outcome was bad. So if the outcome was good, okay, let's continue and how to refine from it. If the outcome is bad, okay, let's not repeat it, or how can I turn the bad into a good? So that's why I say I didn't go through that process while around your age during the uni times and everything. But right now, looking back and knowing all the skills that I have right now with all the knowledge I have, I would say that go out there and look at, for example, I've met a couple of people throughout my life, and one of my clients actually is Top Glove, and Top Glove actually told me before, what I always ask him, why do you always hire Malaysians to go and work in your Guangzhou and your overseas plants and factories and everything? I say, Malaysians are resilient. I mean, if you look at it, look at a typical Chinese student. They only can speak one language. They've been trained in one language. They are raised in a culture that speaks one language. Look at a typical white American. They can only speak. I've lectured in US before. I was a visiting professor at Iowa State University in Iowa. And most Americans, white Americans, can only speak one language, English. Right? Unless they are from another culture like Hispanic, they can speak Spanish. If they are ABC, they can speak Mandarin. And in most cases, by the second or third generation, they probably lose all that already. But if you look at the typical Malaysian, and we should always be proud of that. How many Malaysians, I think everyone here right now, all 52 of you right now, at least speak a minimum of 3 languages or some kind of dialect, right? If you're Malay, you speak English, Malay, right? And possibly a small little dialect from another part of the state in Malaysia. If you're Chinese, you can speak either Hakka, Teochew, Hokkien, Cantonese, or whatever. And Indians, you can speak Tamil, right? There are lots of different dialects. You can speak, if you're Ceylonese, Telugu, Malayali, there's so many little dialect groups here and there also for your South Indian, North Indian, and everything. So that's the thing. We have already come from that. And why this person told me why he loves Malaysia is because you can you take a Malaysian and put him anywhere. Culturally, we are adaptable. We've lived in Muslims, so we can live in a Muslim country. Right? We are very culturally sensitive to all these things already. Put us in India, not a problem. We've grew up with Indians, so we're very sensitive to the fact that Hindus can't eat beef. So we are culturally more sensitive. We are religiously more sensitive. We are language-wise better equipped. But so that's already a plus point going outwards as Malaysians. So can you imagine if you were to go out there and be more all around in terms of getting out there and getting as much experience as you can, learning as much as you can, and Road Track actually gives you that avenue. And can you imagine that I missed out from Road Track? One of my biggest regrets ever since joining Rotary 3 years ago was after working with my RAC PJ road tractors. I look at road tractors today and I actually shed a tear thinking that I missed out so many good years after uni. And I felt that if I joined Road Track during my uni years, I could have done a bit better and made proper choices. Right? Because as you said, someone mentioned this morning during the Why Road Track session, I think Lee Kun also mentioned it, Joshua mentioned it also, is that you get to meet people you don't really meet. And you get to get advice from people who normally would be there, that sometimes, yeah, your parents are great, right? Your parents are there for who they are and everything, but sometimes it's always good to have a third opinion, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth, or seventh. And Road Track gives you the avenue, and it's a portion of my life I felt that, yeah, I did a lot of good, I learned a lot in track. But I felt that during that very important part of my life, which was the one that will decide my career, my professional development, which was uni. I didn't have that avenue for advice, right? And I feel for professional development standpoint, Road actually gives you that. So forgive me if I'm drifting away, Sashi, or anything, because I want to add on in terms of your question and how it relates back to professional development in some way.
No worries.
Back
That was a very good answer to the question. Let me proceed with my next question. Rakesh, we will definitely ask your question once I have done asking the 5 questions that I have. Question 2, sir. What are people's
Mind, sir.
or
Don't need sir
students?
lah. I'm not a teacher. My students come. No lah, it's weird. You know, I go out to meet my students in Mamak sometimes, and they shout at me from far, "Sir!" I'm like, "Can you not call me sir?" They think that I'm a sergeant major, that I'm your commanding officer or something like that. Right? So whatever. So okay. Second question, sorry, Sashi.
All right. What are people or students lacking psychologically nowadays?
I come from a unique position because I get to teach and I get to train. So I get to teach students like you. Some of you are working already, some of you are still students, and I get to train all levels. I've trained people who are fresh graduates who just came out, and then people who are at the entry level at that point, and also looking at when they grow themselves, develop wise, when they grow up, and when they go into the professional managerial scene and everything. And one of the things that I notice a lot, I think what is lacking, I wouldn't say there's anything lacking. To use the word lacking means that it's just a diminishing factor. Okay, let me flip it to the other side where I talk about psychological. You have to understand that if I were to give you the advice that I can give you based on the time that I was right now at your age, it wouldn't apply because it's apples and oranges. You live in an environment today that is full of distractions, right? You live in an environment that is they are multifaceted in a way that there's so much. Right? Back a long time ago, there was no internet, right? There was no mobile communications, right, and things like that. And information was just, I mean, even though I won't say that I lived in the road. Yeah, I did live in that rotary telephone kind of nonsense, right? But I grew up with the internet, right? I had to dial 1511 jarring and things like that to actually get into. And now you guys are talking at 30 Mbps. I was happy with 14K BPS, right, back then. So but the thing is, but the thing about it is that when it comes to psychologically, I feel that you have more pressures than we did. You have more pressures today because I personally feel that because I do a lot of work in terms of generational work, Gen X, Gen Y, and it's all this labeling. Before that, no one labeled us Gen X. No one really said that, oh, you are like that because you're Gen Y. You're like that because you're Gen Z. You're like that because you're millennial. We didn't get that, but you guys get that. We live in a generation of labels. All right, are you more lit? Are you more swole? All right, all this. There's so many labels out there today, and we live in the type of labels. And when we live in the type of heavy labels, we have to live with those labels, and it becomes very heavy. The burden is really very heavy on young shoulders, especially yours. And that's why I feel psychologically it leads to a lot of things. On top of that, there's peer pressure. On top of that, there's relationships. There's a relationship itself is already a big issue. A relationship with your parents, with your siblings, with your cousins, with your families. If you are in a relationship with your boyfriend or girlfriend, your fiance or whichever, if any road tractors here are actually married with your spouse or for your partner or whatever, there's lots of things, right? And the relationship with society, and also the generation you are today, I would personally feel that if you compare a lot, your generation cares a lot more than a lot of other generations. I've never seen a generation more caring about social causes. And that's why we are here tonight. That's why you're in Roadtrack. That's why you're at this DRA, right? Because your generation cares, right? George Floyd, I think that's the biggest thing right now. 4 days ago, a man was arrested, put out his car just because got stepped on his neck and died 8 minutes later. Right? Minneapolis, I was there a few years ago. It's a fantastic place. Hey, Minneapolis is burning right now. Right? And who are they out there on the stand front? And I see my instructors posting speaking out for George Floyd, talking about Aubrey, Colin Kaepernick, all these things. And we're not talking about also, we're talking about Pakatan Harapan, we're talking about a new change, a new norm and everything. And it's people like you who are going to take up the mantle in the future. And also there is that weight psychologically, right? That people look at you as the next generation. But at the same time, there's the flip side. It's a balance of both. There's the good pressure and there's also the bad pressure, right? The labeling of you guys, like for example, you are the supposedly flaky generation, easily very flaky, very weak, right? You just touch a bit already, the skin will fall off. Right? And I don't like that. I really hate that term when a lot of my corporate clients always tell me, oh, you know, nowadays this generation of young people are, oh, yo, so small thing already start complaining, small thing already. I said, maybe if you will take a seat and take a look at it and say that, have you done any effort to understand where they come from? The generation and the environment they grew up in, right? And again, as I mentioned before, relating to your first question, again, hindsight is 2020. And sometimes I also admit, I'm raising two sons right now. I have a teenage son, 13 years old. I have another son, 10 years old. And raising a teenager is very different. And seeing him from his eyes is very different from my time as a 13-year-old. So I can't expect myself to empathize or even to say that I know how you guys feel. I don't live in your generation. I don't go through the stresses that you guys go through, right? You live in an environment where everything is so much more expensive than it was. Everything has a monetary value to it right now. Everything is so superficial right now. TikToks, Instagram, influencers, and things like that. We put such a high premium on the surface that we forgot that we are supposed to put a premium on our inside. That's the most important thing. I feel psychologically how we have to go a move away from that is to go away from the superficial and start to look inside. To ask yourself, I know this is a very cringy question. Even my son cringes when I ask him this question. It's like looking deep down and looking for yourself. I mean, a lot of people say, oh God, is that motivational speak again? I say, it's not, it is true. It allows you to look at yourself even more right now. How authentic is your life? And that's why I feel the lacking, it's not a lacking of psychological or mental or spiritual or whatever. It's that constant pressure, and you need to filter that out. You need to filter out the good. I think someone mentioned this now about good habits and bad habits. It's all about that. You have to pick up the good habits and also work out all these things in the long run. And if you ask me psychologically, I would say that the people, the 50 people right now in this group, you are psychologically ready in a way to face, because I feel that the leadership and organizational skills you have picked up and will pick up in Rotaract and Rotary, if we welcome you next time in the future when we do see you and welcome you to Rotary, is that it is a journey of professional development, and you can't become tough if you don't get a couple of cuts. You have to. So you have to get lots of cuts. You can't imagine how many cuts I've had to go through. All right. I own a business, and I have to admit, I'll share with you right now. In January, I was sitting on invoices worth almost 150,000 ringgit for Q1. The moment Muhyiddin Yassin announced the MCO, I lost all 150,000 in one shot, like that. How do you recover from that? How do you consolidate that when you have two sons who are in school? You have your business, you have your people you are taking care of. How do you consolidate all that, right? And I would say that psychologically, how do you prepare for that? I'm not. I'm still learning. How do you psychologically prepare me to be a father of a teenager? I couldn't. I could handle him 4 years ago when he was still in his 10s. Now in his teens, right? It's a different ballgame altogether. He talks differently. He's more sarcastic. He's more cynical, right? That type of thing, right? He's a national athlete himself. Also, he's a national fencer, and he has all these weird things about how daddy used to. You can't use the same thing and everything. So we are always learning. I admit that. No, I'm sure any Rotarian here who right now in this audience so would tell you it's a learning process. And as I said, it's been 3 months since the MCO started, and I'm still trying to recoup whatever I did and trying to plan for the future. And it's a tough process. So don't feel that you're ever alone. I always feel that a lot of my students, China or Malaysia also, always tell me they feel so alone. You're never alone. Right? And being in road track like today, this morning, someone mentioned this, Sanjeev, the former DRR, Sanjeev, and also now Rotarian, even Calvin Khoo and everything, the district road track chair. It's a family. And I heard someone mention today, someone gave a very, I think it was Lee Kun who was talking about how it became a family for her and a lot of other road tractor sharings and everything. So that's, you're never alone. So use road track. Road track can be a good platform for you to be able to handle things psychologically. And Rotarians are there, right? Maybe the perception before that Rotarians always treat road tractors like slave labor. We only need you guys only when we need you guys to do projects. It's not this. I mean, you can ask the PJ road tractors. They attend our board meetings, they attend our youth service committee meetings, we invite them to attend all our Rotary Club meetings and everything. We want to make them part of it because we want to tell you guys that you're not alone, your older Rotarians, your senior Rotarians are there to help you. So please don't ever feel that you're alone. I've had one of my students actually jump off a roof in Taylor. It's sad. He attended one of my sessions and it's sad. How do I consult that? As an educationist, as an academic, as a trainer, as a human being, I can't consolidate all that. And I don't like seeing people your age go through that. So please don't feel that anything that you are psychologically lacking in any way. There's always a support system. Right? There's always a way for you to be able to get out of the darkness. All right? And I think the most important, I think Sashi, you mentioned this now, so is taking that front foot forward and just opening your mouth and just asking. Right, we are always there. I'm sure you know your district road track chair, Calvin. He's a fantastic guy. He's always open and everything. We've been talking for the past few months, getting things ready for next term. I'm also available, even though I take care of in-track. I'm here, so I'm the road track advisor for road track PJ for the next term. So open, talk to us. Right, never feel that you're alone. Right, the world is so big. It's weird, you know. I tell this to my students every time, my interactors. We are the most connected. You are the most connected generation in the world, but you feel that you are so alone. You have WhatsApp, you have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, but you somehow still come up and say that somehow or another I feel alone. Right? I feel I'm still in the dark. Right? So sometimes it's always best to put down the WhatsApp and the TikTok and just come and meet a human person. Right? So that's why I said. It's sad nowadays that we have to meet through Zoom. I would love to meet you guys in a physical, right? Have lunch with you, have dinner or whatever. Or just go out yum cha with you guys or whatever. Have a beer, all right? So I think that's it. So Sashi, I'm sorry, I just keep on rambling on this type of things. Next question. I'm sorry.
Okay. Next question is, why are some people unable to find partners or their true callings in life?
I don't run a dating club or anything, by the way. So so for those single people out there, I don't know where this picture come from already. Now, how do you find partners? Now, I think some of the road tractor PJs also know my story about my history of dating. I think some of you guys know that. So why are some people unable to find partners? Okay, let's give you a best example. I think she's walked by this now. I'm married for 15 years. I'm going to be married 15 years next year already. And I married a person who's a complete opposite of who I am. My God, you have no idea how opposite she is to me. Oh God. All right. And she listens to Sam Hui, Chinese, Cantonese songs. I grew up with Nirvana and Metallica. I grew up in the 90s. So grunge rock was my thing. Pearl Jam. You guys talk about Green Day, Wake Me Up When September Comes. I bought the first Green Day album, right, in 1995 when they first came out with Dookie, right? So that's my jam, right? So I'm an athlete. I go out. I can't stay at home. My wife is a person who needs to stay at home. She doesn't like going out. I'm a very sociable person. I think most road tractors know that already. She prefers not to do it. I bring her out to meet people. She hates it. She sits in one corner and stands by herself. She doesn't drink. I drink. Right? I'm the type of person who keeps on having big dreams and everything. And she's that little needle that pops my bubble every single time. And you know what? I need that. I need someone to prick my bubble. I need someone to bring me down to earth. I need someone to pop my balloons so that my helium runs out and I come back to earth and be more down to earth. I need someone to kick my ass. I need someone to just give me a tight slap across the face and say, hey, you got time to do this or not, dear? I go up to her and say, hey, you know, dear, I want to do this thing and everything. And say, you got time or not first? Yeah, that's true. Shit, I have no time. Right? Around Rotary and the Olympic Academy and then with other things. So that's the thing. So I feel that sometimes we are always chasing for that need to find that perfect person. There's no perfect person. All right. I can't remember which movie I saw this from. I know it's very cheesy, but I found that quote really well-meaning, even though I know it's cringy and cheesy as hell. But it says that how do you find that one important how's that? It's not finding that perfect person. It's finding that imperfect person that's perfect for you. All right, and I always you see, that's the thing, you know. People always like perfection, correct? People always look for people. I mean, you listen to all those gurus out there. They say, yeah, seek perfection, go for perfection. This is my take on it. I feel that perfection is a curse. I feel it's the one thing that's holding us back every single time. Perfection, you're always looking for the perfect thing. I'm waiting for the perfect moment to come. There's no such thing as a perfect moment. I'm waiting for that perfect girl to come. I'm waiting for her to have X number figure. I'm waiting for, I remember meeting one of my students before. I want a girl who's intelligent, she's pretty, she's this, she's that, she's understanding, she's everything, she's not bitchy, she's not this one, she's not that one, and she wears specs. And I'm like, where did the wear specs thing come from? Right? Oh, because I find girls who wear specs very hot. Okay, fine. All right, whatever floats your boat, that's fine. Right? But I said, do you realize that your requirements are really high? I don't think any Hollywood star or models even fit into that category also. So what does he do? He waits. He waits. He waits for that model, that measure of perfection of that perfect person he wants. So perfectionism leads to procrastination because you always want to wait for that perfect moment, that perfect time, that perfect, you know, I'm sure all of you, I mean, I'm a lecturer. I know I had this student come to me, sir, I couldn't do my assignment finish because I couldn't find that perfect mindset or to start the work. Right? I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm not in the perfect mindset right now to give you a pass because you already passed the deadline. Right? So I'm sorry about that. But no, but the thing is, why did you procrastinate? We gave you a 2-month deadline, you missed everything. You procrastinated because you couldn't find the right time. This wasn't the right time. I woke up late this morning. I had my period. Okay, bad. Oh, bad time. I didn't have my coffee this morning. Bad. Right? I woke up. I argued with my girlfriend. Bad time. So one day, lusa, besok, next day. Never do anything. Same thing for relationships, same thing for partners, and same thing for true callings in life. There is no perfect moment. There's no perfection. Perfection keeps on leading to procrastination. Procrastination leads to paralysis. You stay where you are. And I stopped looking for that perfection. There's no perfect. I mean, a lot of people ask me, I say, look, dude, say, so I meet some of my old friends from high school, and I say, dude, I mean, I have to speak lower a bit right now because I can't say it in front of my wife so loud. Right? She's right there in the next room. Right? And she's like, dude, you know, you used to date girls, you know, you were a national athlete, you know, girls were like lining up, you know, and things like that. You had the pick of the litter, you know, and everything. How do you end up with her? Right? That type of thing, you know. Right? And I'm like, I don't know. Okay, let's just give you a scale of how fast you work, and this is a good measure of how it means by when I look about perfect. We started dating after I came back from Iowa after my long lecture stint in November 2005. We got married in September 2006, which means that I started dating her officially in 2005 November. We got married in September the next year, 2006. Can you, I think you can do the math there. How fast is it? The math, right? And if you ask me, hey, dude, I mean, most people only do that if you knocked the girl up or you got her pregnant or something like that. That's what happens. But no, it was just the right time. We were at the right age. It just fell into place, right? And I wasn't looking at a perfect person. I was looking at a person that would complement me in terms of my personality, who would be able to knock my shit off if I had to, if I did anything wrong or said anything wrong. I have a person in my life that calls me out for the shit that I do, and I will call her on her shit that she does also. Right? And that's a mutual thing that we have. And but the thing about it is that we share the same values. That's the interesting thing about it. You have to look at values at the same time also. We share the same values. If you look at in terms of Chinese, it's called 价值, right? In values. right? We share the same values when it comes to parenting. We share the same values when it comes to relationships and family. So I feel that why some people just can't find their partners or true calling is because you're always looking for that perfect moment, that perfect circumstance. It never comes. There's no such thing. And the moment we start getting that out of our heads, I mean, look, the COVID-19 is given us the best case study ever. It's, no matter how prepared. I mean, look, everyone looked at America as the shining beacon of the democratic world. And look how shit they are right now. Right? 100,000 dead, 3.7 million tested positive, 53 million Americans unemployed or applying for unemployment. Their economy is in the shitter. They got a crazy psychopath in the White House. I mean, it shows there's no such thing as a perfect thing. Right? Stop looking for perfection. Right? Take it one step at a time. Whenever it comes, evaluate your options, look at things as they come along, and always take a step back before jumping into things. If you're the type of personality that jumps into things, that you have to sometimes have to be aware of that. I'm that sort. But I hate that fact that a lot of these gurus come out there and seek for perfection. Yeah, I mean, you know the term practice makes perfect, right? What if you've been practicing something wrong perfectly? I mean, if I want to flip it around, this to share with you. I mean, as a former national athlete, this is something quite interesting. I used to work with people like Morten Frost and Rashid and everything like that, and Miss Boone, because they actually attend our academy and everything. We consult with them. And an interesting thing that Morten Frost shared with me a long time. Morten Frost was the former Danish badminton champion. He was and everything, and he was the coach of. Actually, was one of Lee Chong Wei's coach also. And he told me that there was one time that they were actually training badminton players wrong. And they thought it was the right way. So they kept on teaching for many years, maybe a few decades, the same way over and over again. And they kept on saying, practice makes perfect, practice makes perfect. But it turns out that later on, when they found out, when sports science started coming to it, they used cameras and everything, they found out that the method that they were teaching, the wrong one, was actually expending 30% more energy in the downswing, in the stroke of a badminton player. So they found out that actually by adjusting a couple of angles here and there from a different angle, from a different position, they actually could save more than 25 to 15% of energy. So which means all this while the practice makes perfect was perfectly wrong. Right? So that's why I say I don't prescribe to there's a perfect way to do it or non-perfect way to do it. That's just a way to do it. Whether it's going to work, it's an outcome. The outcome was good, the outcome was bad. Did it work? Or if you don't want to put good or bad, just say it worked out or it didn't work out. Right. So I think road track is a great opportunity also for you to meet girls and boys, I'm sure. Right. I don't know. Right. I've not really I told my road trackers this year I'll try to get more involved with road track this year for the next term. Right. I've been so busy trying to fix in tracks for the past few terms. This time I'm going to try to work on help out on road track also. And so, I mean, there are lots of things. Get out there, meet people. I think someone mentioned that just now. I'm a person who don't like talking to people. What can I do? All right, go do your road track projects. I'll go out and meet people. I think this was Mel just now, I think. Right? And she said that I don't like talking. I don't feel comfortable talking to people or something like that. Go. I mean, it's personality. Right? You are maybe an introvert. You don't like talking to people. You don't like large crowds or something like that. Go out there and do it. Meet people. There's no perfect time to meet the perfect person to have a chat. Right. Do your projects and go and chat with someone. Right. Call up Joshua right now and go talk to him. Sorry, I advertise, right? Or whatever. I'm just naming whoever name I see in top of my screen right now. I see Sashi, Derek, Terence, Lee Kun, and Jasmine. Right. So I just see those names in front of my Zoom right now. So go pick up these 5 people immediately right now and go and talk to them. Yeah. There's no perfect moment. So I stop seeking perfection. I think that's the answer to the unable to find partners in life. I found one. I dated her for only like a few months and I did propose to her already. And we've been married for 15 years. 15 years next year. That's it.
Good story, sir.
Yep.
One last question.
Yep.
Does achieving our goals give us true happiness? Or is there such thing as fake goals or fake happiness?
Yep. Does achieving or give you true happiness? I would say that does achieving our goals give us true happiness? Right? Is there hold on, let me think about it. I've achieved some of my goals. Hold on, I'm sorry, guys.
Okay, 1 minute, yeah, guys. I think he has an issue to attend to, and he'll be back shortly. So, okay. So, before he comes back, I need to tell you guys something about the previous session that I have given you and how I can wrap it all up. I know some of you guys are professional development directors in the coming term. Some of you may be community service directors, you're the president or whatsoever. So if you look to the past, right, and I have told you a few things that you should take note of, which are goals, habits, improvement by subtraction, methods of measurement, looking at the past, how do you impress people or self-confidence, success, failure, and happiness, right? So I'm going to link all of this to how you can actually carry out projects. Projects involve goals, right? When you set your goals, make sure you set attainable goals and don't go too far, right? Whenever you set a goal, you focus then on how you desire to achieve those goals, right? So you cultivate habits. How? Why do you want to achieve such a goal and how do you achieve it, right? So you're going to have meetings. You're going to meet your friends, you're going to meet your board members, and you're going to come up with your set of procedures that you need to come up for the project.
Okay, sorry guys, I had some technical problem in my computer just now.
All right, so
I've achieved some of my goals. I have not found true happiness. As I said, I think the word true happiness means perfection again. Right? So I'm always, I think Sashi, I go back to you just now, you say goals. Goals, there's short term, there's long term, there's goals that are achievable. There are some goals that are not achievable, right? So you need to, and someone just asked there, how do you define true happiness? I don't know how to define true happiness. I don't, because as I mentioned just now, early on, I thought this was going to be a good year. This was going to be a good year, right? I've never sat on invoices worth almost that much for a long time. And came in Mr. COVID-19. Wow, what happened to that? I don't try to, I'm happy. I don't look for true happiness. What is true happiness? Is there a measure to it? Well, how can you measure happiness? Am I happy as a businessman? No, because right now, COVID-19, I'm not a happy businessman. Am I happy as a parent? Yes, my sons are alive, they're okay, they're well, they're healthy, they are not infected with the coronavirus. Yes, although I'm spending too much time at home with them, right? So I'm happy there. Am I happy that as a husband? Yes, of course I'm happy as a husband. My wife is too, right? Am I happy as a Rotarian? Yes, of course. I'm surrounded by fantastic Rotarians, not just in my own club, PJ, but also other Rotarians also that are involved in the district. All right. Am I happy with what I'm doing right now? Yes, I am. But I can't tell you what is true happiness, because there is no measure for me to tell you what is true and what. There's never going to be a perfect happiness because there are levels. It's all relative to everything that you have right now. Right? Am I truly happy? Is there true happiness as a parent? Seeing my son being able to represent his country, yes, I'm happy there. But am I happy about some of the things he does at home? His snarky attitude, his sarcastic comments sometimes to his brother, to his mother? No, I'm not. So there's happy there, there's not happy there. There's never going to be a true happiness or a true unhappiness. There's just going to be meh. You know, I just take it as it is. Right? It's just what it is. Right? A lot of people ask me, hey, how can you stand? You're quite a young Rotarian. How do you stand working with the older Rotarians? I'm just like, yeah, treat them like how I treat my dad. That's all. Right? Just talk to them with respect. Right? Honor what they've done. Give them the right due respect you have. Be a person of good morals and of good courteous, being courteous to them. That's all. Simple as that. Right? And they'll give you back the due respect and everything. So I don't see what is true happiness, right? And is there such thing as fake goals? I would say that there are. I would say that there are goals that prop you up, that make you feel good, but actually, are you acting on it? There's two things. There's one thing called efficient and one called effective. Now, some people are very efficient but not effective. Some people are very effective but not efficient at all. So let me give you an example right now. What is the job of a student? I mean, you can type it over there. What's the job of a student?
To study.
Yes, to study. Thank you, Sashi. Someone go there, study. Yes, you have to study. So let's say, for example, you come early to class. You sit down in the lecture hall, right? Everything's ready. You open your laptop, you open your tablet, you get your notes out, everything. You're ready for the lecture, everything. You're there. You're the first one there, right? Then the moment the lecture starts, you fall asleep. You were very efficient, but you're not effective. Because you're very efficient as a student, you arrive on time, but you're not effective as a student because you fell asleep. So you missed the class, you missed the lecture, right? So you have to ask your goals. Are your goals efficient, but are they effective? Right? Is it heading in the way smoothly, and will it eventually achieve your goals? Right? And goes with the same thing also, productivity versus goals. If you are not productive, how do you move towards your goals? Which one prevails? Productivity always. Nothing beats hard work in this world. I would have to tell you, my advice right now to road tractors, for the next few, I mean, my company does a lot of consulting for the government, not just the Malaysian government, but the Maldivian government also in terms of coronavirus preparation and for the future and everything. And let me tell you guys one thing right now, productivity is the one that's going to save us. All right, hunkering down, being productive and busy and getting things done, that's going to be the most important thing. That's going to be the one thing that's going to get us past all this COVID-19 nonsense and everything. Even if they put the MCO up, it's going to be a long time before the economy recovers, and we're looking for at least maybe at most optimistic 3 quarters and maybe to a year. All right, if you're lucky, with no vaccine, with no proper treatment, with no proper protocols in place, you're looking at company. Look, for example, you can look at, I can predict this right now. You can look at what happened to people like MBO, GSC, and TGV. They are gone. All right, they'll be closing down cinemas and cineplexes like mad. All right, these are how do you prepare for these type of things? Right, they have to look at a lot of different things right now. So right now, I think if you ask me about goals and productivity, I say productivity works over. You have to be ready to work toward your goals. All right, it's a very different ball game altogether already, and it's always been like that. And I've noticed all those. I talked to some startups, I talked to some entrepreneurs myself and everything also, and they told me, I realized one of the things that those who are actually surviving quite well during the MCO right now is those who are actually working harder. Those that are prepared to work hard, those that were not ready for the those who were not even expecting a handout or not expecting stimulus packages, even when the government was offering them everything, they didn't take it. They just had to start getting things done and start looking for options and solutions. That's all, right? I think that's the most important thing. How to find motivation for productivity in these bleak times? Well, you have to. This thing popped on us. Dude, I mentioned, I mean, Tifrena, I just told you this story just now. I just lost 150,000 ringgit worth of business. All because one guy went on stage and declared something called the Movement Control Order. And just because something came out of China and spread around the world, I lost a big chunk of everything. I should be shitting bricks right now, guys. I should be asking myself, why the hell am I still alive? All right. But the fact that I have to find that motivation to be productive in such big times. As I said, guys, I mentioned this now, especially related back to the question about lacking psychologically and everything. I don't think there's lacking psychologically. I feel that there is just whatever comes your way, just take it. There's no perfect time. This COVID-19, as I told you, as Sashi introduced you to some of my clients now. Some of my clients are some of the biggest firms in the world. And they were not prepared for this at all. They were caught off guard. You have no idea how bad some of these people got caught off guard. Right? We're talking about people at Western Digital, Intel, Agilent. Right? These are people who are world-class employers, organizations. They got caught off guard. No one is. I just spoke to Dr. Kevin Yong. Right? He owns English Hot Bread. He's a Rotarian from our club. And He just told me he's losing 350,000 every month. He's not afraid to say it also, because what can he do about it? Because right now he's a food industry. Are any of the cafes open full capacity right now? Right. If you go to AirAsia, Uncle Chin's chicken rice, he's Uncle Chin. Right. Is AirAsia flying right now? Right. Zero. He's getting zero business from AirAsia. Is Starbucks open right now? Because the bulk of all the croissants and all the muffins that are in Starbucks actually is done by Dr. Kevin. Your cakes and your muffins from Komugi, everything is from him. Secret recipe from him. So all these guys are not open. So can you imagine? That's the thing. You have to find that motivation to work. He's finding the motivation to do it. Right. You have to. Right. So I think that's how. I think to go back, let me finish this off, Sashi. I know we're running out of time. Is how do you find true happiness? At the end of the day, if whatever I've done, if I was productive enough and I got everything done properly, I would say that would be my true happiness. Right? Knowing that whatever shit I had to go through and all the stuff that I had to put down and get things done, and I managed to get it done and got it fixed. My kids can still go to school. I still got a house to come back to. I can still pay my Rotary dues. I want to be a Rotarian, right? And work with Rotractors like you. So I'm happy.
All right. Thank you, sir, for that sharing of yours. We are quite inspired with your stories. Okay, guys, so I'm going to wrap it up with a bow tie or any ribbon of some sort. Okay, so most of you are directors or holding a position in the upcoming term, as I've mentioned before, and you are going to be running projects, right? I know for the coming few months, it's not going to be easy because you're not able to have any physical or social gathering, right? But hopefully by the next half of the term, we can. Okay, so let me just give you an insight of how I'm going to relate what I said to help you plan your projects, right? I mentioned goals, habits, improvement by subtraction, looking at the past, impressing people, success, failure, and happiness. All right. As I mentioned, goals, you're going to have to set goals of a project. A project is based on a goal. You have a goal to reach, right? That's why you have a project. So once you set the goal, you develop a habit. Your habit is to achieve that goal, right? So you cultivate that habit by having meetings with your board of directors, your project team, right? The habit may be having a meeting every day, possibly not every day, probably every week, have run-throughs, discuss the procedures and everything. So that's a habit that you create, right? Something done 21 days and above becomes a habit. So that's all you need to do. It will become your habit. And improvement by subtraction. Your project will involve a certain features. Know what to keep and know what to remove, right? Less is more. Trust me, that is what improvement by subtraction means. Having less means more outcome. Not always, but in most cases, you can reduce efforts in things that are less important and use your efforts for something that are more important. And when you do a project, you're going to have to do it some based on experience of your previous projects. That's why you need to look at the past, right? Looking at the past, you're going to know what mistakes you made in your previous projects and how you can improve in your coming project or your future projects. And remember to never do a project just to impress or just for the sake of doing a project, right? A project always needs to have a meaning, right? It's not about impressing your members. It's not about impressing the rest of the Rotractors. It's about impressing yourself about what you can do for the community and the world, right? You are not here as a Rotractor to just do a project in any avenue, let it be club service, let it be community service. You're not here to just do it just because your club tells you to do or just because the district tells you to do it. You are going to do it to help sincerely your club and the community and yourself even. Success or failure doesn't matter. Your effort matters. There's no such thing as a failure, let me tell you. Many of us have ran projects. it's not a success, a big of a success that we would have imagined it to be, but it is still a success, right? All we think about is how can we make it better next time. This is a very important note for you to take when you're planning your projects, all right? And always be happy doing it. Doing something for the community with a happy heart is everything. Happiness is a vibe. It vibes with everyone. So kind of charge yourself with happiness. If you're not a very positive person, surround yourself with positive people, all right? So maintain that happiness going in yourself, in the club, and spread it all the way to the community and in the world. So I hope when you heard all of this sharing by Rotarian Nicholas and all the things that I've spoken about professional development, I hope you make the effort to become 1% better every day. Thanks, guys.
One very quick question. So like with the COVID situation going on right now, correct? Is there kind of PD projects that I can carry out as well during this period of time?
Yes. There are a lot of soft skills that you can learn, all right? Example of learning music. It's a professional development. You can have a good musician teach you how to play the guitar, teach you how to play the guitar, or teach you how to play the piano. Or you can learn how to use certain softwares. You can learn how you can get a person who's good at Photoshop in your club and get them to spread out their talent and their knowledge about Photoshop, right? There's a lot of projects that you can have. You just need the right people to conduct it. And just like how we are having this training online, this is how you are exactly going to carry out your professional development projects. What are we doing now? Our training is a professional development, right? So that is how you're going to take it forward. You just need to find the right thing to do and the right person to carry it out. Melissa asked, can I have coding classes? Yes, we can. There are people who I know who are very good at coding. Example, Joshua. Joshua is very good at coding. He has a degree in IT. What do you think, Joshua? Do you think you can carry out a coding class?
Having a degree in coding and actually being able to code are two different things, I believe. Graduated in coding, but that does not mean I like coding, and nor am I good at it. So yeah.
I know how that feels. I graduated with software engineering. I don't like coding.
Exactly.
I think to answer Mel's question, right? Our club actually have conducted a coding workshop last year at Magic. So we probably could do something similar for the online, you know, on Zoom, if there are enough people that are actually keen for it. What our club did last year is that we have a series of workshops, social entrepreneurship workshops. We call it the Impact Entrepreneurship Series. So we
Oops, Terence.
Was it just me?
No, it was all of us.
Oh, I think like the time is up already. That's why I want to kick everyone. Yeah. Yeah, time limit. Yeah, I think Terence, maybe you can just share with us a little bit and then like we'll end the session off for day one's digital track assembly.
Is Terence on? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
I think just now was cut off. The line is shaky a bit.
So do continue with your coding class, Terence.
Oh, I see. Yes, coding class, right? So we are looking to explore this online. I mean, as in Zoom workshops. of course, we are still talking to some of our trainers. So let us know if you have, maybe you can even let Sashi know if you have any topics that you are keen to learn about. We have our panel of trainers, CSS. Yes, definitely we can explore that as well. What we did last year, I think is around October. We have this coding workshop, right? So it's about, I think it's probably took about half a day. But you know, coding is a very broad subject. It depends what language you're using. And if let's say we have a crowd that no one has the foundation, so that will take some time as well. So yeah, last year we learned about the theories and we learned how to Ruby on Rails. Yes, definitely. A lot of things are upcoming. So I think that's why professional development, at least from the way I see it, I think it's going to be like getting more and more important. Because as young people, right? Not just young people, in fact, people of all age. Nowadays, we have to reskill, we have to upskill. And from our brother's question just now, right? Like, what do we do in this time, pandemic, and things like that? This is the time to be adapting. So, yeah, do check out and stay tuned for the district training team from Joshua. I'm sure he has many plans in line, and let's see what we can do together. And if you look at our own district, right, I think there is a lot of Zoom sessions, right, with Rotarian Nicholas, Terrence, you know. So do join us in all these training sessions for the district. With this, back to you, Sashi.
All right. So I would like to thank all of you guys for coming, right? And I think we kind of surpassed our scheduled time, but I hope you guys learned something from our session today and you can take back something valuable to you. And just please try to become 1% every day for anything that you want to become, right? It could be a body, it could be knowledge, it could be anything, it could be music even, anything. Just try to become 1% better every day and you will be 37 times better in a year. Right? Thank you guys.
Good night, guys.
Thank you, everyone. See you.
Guys, thank you. See you guys
night.
on
Thank
Saturday
you.
for the
Good night.
Thanks, Sashi, for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good time. Stay home. Stay safe. See you guys at some road track event soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Where round 2 at?
Shut up, Dion. Let's go to sleep. What round two? Woo.
Guys, look at this. No, different direction.
What's the problem, Jasmine? Huh? It's not real.
This.
Jasmine, there's a piece of shit on your background.
Alright.
Ciao, guys. I got another meeting.
Wow, what meeting?
EJ meeting lah.
You
I
round
attended
two.
all the sessions today.
Wow, yeah, Jasmine, congratulations. You want a medal?
Yay!
You want
Waiting for
best
second round.
Jasmine for best refractor. Hashtag.
No, I'm not submitting.
It's okay, ma. Don't need you submit, ma. People can submit for you, ma.
No, no one wants to write for me.
I can
Alright.
volunteer. Jasmine.
Very good.
No thanks.
Nominate you.
Recording, huh? Sashi, you're still recording, is it?
Oh, okay.